Now, ever since Ethan Klein dropped the content dud that was his little nuke on Hassan, a complete fucking failure. I mean, it got a lot of views, don't get me wrong. Definitely did. It's just kind of sad to see where he has been going post this, because you think that after he, would have gotten it out of his system and just completely, dropped that nuke on Hassan, he would have probably just stopped at some point and would have just moved on. But no, he is not. And we have a couple of clips, shit, since the nuke has dropped about what Ethan has been doing, to say the least. So we're going to start off with this post right here from Comrade Casey, and this is a clip that he took from the H3 podcast. Ethan Klein perfectly demonstrates the phrase, scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. Now, this obviously comes from the news that Trump plans on settling in Gaza. Basically that the U.S. is going to take over the Gaza Strip, shit like that. And what's kind of weird about, hearing this from Ethan is that this is the only time, that he really shares much of a pro-Palestinian sentiment. And it's only really just to be oh, this is Hassan's fault. And Ethan kind of shares a lot with Republicans nowadays, because in a similar way to how Republicans continuously blame DEI for, every single problem that exists, Ethan and his wife Hila just can't seem to get over the fact that everything wrong that happens in their life is not the fault of Hassan bikers. They consistently try to blame him for bad stuff happening. And we have an example here of Hila losing a partnership for her clothing brand Teddy Fresh.
Because I'm Israel, quote. Sorry.
Nowhere in it does it say, oh, I can't be associated with this company because you're Israeli. Nowhere does it say that. It's just her assuming. It's just her assuming that this person does not want to collaborate with them because she's Israeli. They do not state a specific reason why. Maybe it's not because you're Israeli and it's because you called Yoval Galant a good guy. It's probably because you say incredibly heinous shit. There's plenty of shit. I've also heard there's terrible conditions with Teddy Fresh, people stealing designs, shit like that. Now, I don't know all about it, but I've heard there's some pretty bad stuff in regards to Teddy Fresh as a whole, how it's run. So it could be that, but they're just assuming it's because she's Israeli. Losing a partnership for your clothing brand and then being no, this is anti-Semitic, when they're not expressing any sort of anti-Semitism in this remark, is insane. It's the wolf that cried anti-Semitism.
This is the result of this activism that this is the result of Hassan's activism. This is what it resounds to. Alienation, hate, racism, and zero fucking progress for people in Gaza.
That's kind of funny because Ethan, I want to see if I can get a clip of it. Ethan recently was kind of advertising to his audience to bombard one guy's podcast to report. Let me see if I can find the clip, because there is a possibility that they lost these partnerships because people went to these partners and was hey, I know you work with Teddy Fresh. Okay, here it is. Oh, we know you work, we know you're a partner with Teddy Fresh. Here's some shit that Hila and Ethan have said on their podcast, just in case you weren't aware and you don't want to partner with these people. So that could be an example. I don't know if that is the cause of it. That's just a little theory. That could have happened. There could have been people in Hassan's fan base that did that. I'm not sure. As someone who is a part of that fan base, I don't remember Hassan saying anything oh yeah, you guys should do this, or anyone being oh, we should do this, or something like that. It's insane to assume that this is Hassan's fault. And even if that's the case, it's not Ethan is below doing that. I believe this stream right here is before the clip we showed you, but he was watching this guy. I forget who exactly it was. I don't remember. It was this podcast, the Do Not Worry podcast. This is one of the guys. If you remember Ethan Klein talking about the tier list that Frogan and a bunch of other content creators did at TwitchCon, he was one of them. He made a post about it right here, reacting to the guy's post that we just saw earlier. The fact that our little Lebanese podcast, who no one heard of just a few months ago, is making these 2 millionaire Zionists shit and piss themselves is pretty funny. And what happens in the video is that Ethan Klein is trying to report the video live on stream, and you can tell he's trying to lead his audience into a mass report campaign on this video. Like this is something that they could easily do off screen and just keep it to themselves, but they are doing this to lead their audience into a mass report campaign. So even if my theory is correct, where there could have been not even like Hassan fans, but other people who were just like, hey, we're going to go to these partners and like show them the shit that Ethan and Gila say on a regular basis on their podcast and tell them like, hey, these are reasons you shouldn't be associated with them. Even if that was the case, again, this is all speculation. It's not like Ethan is below that. Because again, I believe this came after, like this clip here came before they lost their partnerships. Or maybe, the partners, the people that they're partnered up with are aware of what these people are saying, and at some point was just like, enough is enough, I'm not partnering with you.
I'm helping clean YouTube up.
I mean, if you want to clean YouTube up, then you should probably just stop making your podcast. Because that's the funny thing too, like with their little like a smear campaign with Twitch being like, oh, Twitch promotes terrorism, which was like a big part of his content nuke. Because even though I only saw like a part of it in my video, we only watched like we didn't even watch the first 30 minutes, like a little bit less than that because of how shit it was. I did watch the entire thing on my own. It was just, the video was too long that I knew I wasn't going to be able to like sit down and watch it all in one going. And like, look, I try to do like a video a day. So trying to watch the thing and edit it, because I don't have another editor. It's just me trying to edit these videos. It's fucking impossible to do while also working a 9 to 5. Okay, so I only watched like the first 30 minutes of it, and then in my downtime I was just like watching through it. A big part of it is him trying to go after Twitch for promoting terrorism, like anti-Semitism, and he brings up Fresh and Fit getting unbanned, but doesn't think to mention that Fresh and Fit quickly got unbanned afterwards, or like they got rebanned. They got unbanned from Twitch, and then they got rebanned. But he also fails to mention that Fresh and Fit still stream on the platform that he streams on, YouTube. So like that's the whole funny thing of him being like, oh, Twitch promotes terrorism and anti-Semitism, when Fresh and Fit is still on YouTube, and they are very anti-Semitic, don't get me wrong. Fresh and Fit are very anti-Semitic. But it's like, dude, look at the own platform that you stream on when it comes to like anti-Semitism and shit like that. Like again, this is something he could do in his downtime, but he's just like, no. He wants to signal to his audience to be like, hey, this is what you guys should do, without exactly saying it, because he knows if he was to exactly say, hey, you guys should all report this video, he would have to face consequences for it. But if he can just do this, he's just signaling to his audience, hey, you guys should report this video, then he's not going to get in trouble. It seems like you don't really care about the people of Gaza because you never fucking talk about them. You're the only one who makes this all about fucking internet drama. That's the thing, is that Ethan doesn't talk about Palestinians and what happens to them outside of like this little internet beef that he has with a bunch of pro-Palestinian content creators. It's really weird that he only beefs with pro-Palestinian content creators. That's really weird, isn't it? Especially when he decides to throw shade to an organization that was literally trying to make money to, bring aid to Gaza, like trying to raise money for Gaza. And here's a little video from the guy who kind of ran that organization, talking about Ethan's claims about the charity.
I went on his podcast yesterday and said this about
Creators for Palestine raised $1.6 million. That's fantastic. Literally negligible. They've received billions of fucking dollars. It's a good thing. Has $1.6 million had an outcome on anything happening in Gaza? Fuck. Has it helped people? Sure. Has it helped? Fuck.
So, Palestinians showing violent resistance, that's not good for Ethan. Talking about the evils that Israel does and, advocating for Palestinians to be free, that's not good for Ethan either, because he believes in a two-state, not a one-state. And even if there is a two-state solution to, Israel and Palestine, that still results in Palestinians being left off in a worse place than where they could be with one-state solution. But, Ethan's not ready to really accept that, because he thinks that all Palestinians are just going to murder Israelis. You can't, factually talk about what's happening there. You had to believe Israel talking points that you barely research. That's the only way you can talk about it, according to Ethan, because that's the only way he talks about it. So you can't do that. And you can't raise money for Palestinians because that doesn't really do anything. So what can people do in this situation? What do you think is the right way to advocate for Palestinians, Ethan? What's the right way to advocate for Palestinians? Because it seems like the only option is just for them to lay down and die. Like Ethan literally never offers any alternative to what he thinks people should be doing in the advocacy for Palestinians. He shits on charity. He shits on people factually telling the truth because he just can't do simple fucking research, and he can't even understand what could bring people to a violent revolution against the people who have been fucking punching down at them for years and years and years. Like, he can't even understand it. He doesn't have to endorse it, but he can't even be like, I understand what led to this. No, it always seems like, for some guy who's always seems to be pro-Palestinian, and he loves to say that, despite the fact he always shits on Palestinian movements, he doesn't really seem that Palestinian, like pro-Palestinian, does he? He really doesn't.
The actual movement, no. Raise money, that's good. That's the easiest fucking thing to give money, right? Good. Let's talk about real activism. Let's talk about enacting meaningful change.
Which he never offers. Again, he never offers a solution to. He never offers in a way that he believes people should advocate for Palestinians and an effective way to do so. He never offers that. It's so fucking stupid. It's very clear that he just wants to do internet drama. He doesn't actually want to talk about this shit seriously because he just doesn't have the mental faculties to do so. Because all shit that he says that is pro-Israel is easily debunked. We'll get into it later. Let's just continue with this.
It's not real activism. Didn't make a single difference. He's lost his mind. It's crazy how much I used to look up to the father's affair, and now he's just sitting.
That's the thing too, is that apparently Ethan, from what I've heard, is going to go after people, or is going to try to go after people who reacted to his content nuke, because he's upset that Hassan hasn't watched it, which is kind of funny. He wants Hassan to watch his video, but gets upset when other people watch his video. And that's the thing about Ethan, is when it comes to fair use on YouTube and people reacting to videos, he's very much a pioneer of helping, get it to the state that it's in, where, it's kind of flawed, but still it's not it's a little weird. But when in terms of free use, how free use operates on the internet, Ethan is very much a pioneer in setting it up the way that it has been. And it's kind of funny that now he's just well, since the guy that I wanted to watch the video is not watching the video, I'm just going to go after everyone else who made content based on that video.
Crashing out for days on end because Hassan Piker won't watch his silly little class project. That $1.9 million, and I put them pretty close to one, so we'll round. That $1.69 million helped so many individuals, and no, it absolutely did not solve. That's not what we set out. If we had the power to do that, we would have done that 1,000 times over, but no amount of...
Yeah. It's so funny that Ethan thinks just a bunch of content creators on the internet would have had the power to be able to result in real change for the people of Gaza. Even the Democratic Party, seeing their votership get disappointed by their lack of effort to really affect change in Gaza weren't able to change. It's very clear, no matter how much pushback they got back from the public, even to the effect of losing an election, they're not able to change their stance on Gaza. That's the thing. It's just insane. And that's the thing too, is that Ethan is also being I've heard him be oh, it's Hassan's fault because he advocated against Kamala Harris, or he's lying and saying that Kamala Harris told his fan base to not vote for Kamala. He never said that. I believe he even showed his voting on screen, on stream. It was just yeah, I'm gonna vote for Kamala. Obviously, he didn't endorse Kamala because she didn't really do anything to inspire people to really go out and vote for her. That's not on Hassan. Fucking politicians should not have to rely on streamers to get votes for them. That should be Kamala. Hassan, whatever Hassan was gonna do has nothing to do with that. It's just so fucking weird. These people who are chronically online who think that political streamers are gonna be able to affect real change. Even someone who has a big of a followership as Hassan is not going to be able to sway an entire election against one way or another. That's the politicians who have to do that themselves. It's just so stupid for Ethan to think that just a bunch of like social media content creators are going to be able to affect change when the Democrats have shown time and time again that they aren't willing to change their overall perspective on Gaza. Like even Bernie Sanders, who is a very progressive man, like even he was still kind of, not on the same page as a lot of voters. It's insane for him to think otherwise. That like even these people who have big platforms, like again, Hassan is one of like the biggest progressive content creators out there. He's a big political streamer, and even he was not able to like influence the Democratic Party with his messaging, even though he like said time and time again, like, hey, this is what they should do. They obviously don't care. They just don't. So trying to put the blame on like a couple content creators who actually did try to like get this message out there, like this is what they need to do, even that didn't work because they just weren't listening. They weren't listening to them. They weren't listening to their voter base. And it's not like, it's not like the Democratic Party needs to like pay attention to like these content creators are saying 24/7, but they should listen to the people, and the people will go to these people for content to get their information. I don't like, it isn't just content creators who are doing this. The people in general just like, hey, we don't agree with your stance on this. You need to, be better on this issue, and they just didn't change. To think that like some TikTokers, some, Twitch streamers, some YouTube creators are going to change all that, you're just insane.
And here's a clip from his content nuke where he talks about how he donated $6,500 to Palestine.
Despite what you've read on TikTok and Twitter, I've donated $6,500 to a Palestinian charity after the war started.
Hey, Ethan Klein.
That's the thing. It's like this and that like Instagram post he constantly makes, like he constantly refers to back in like I think 2021, where he like criticized Benjamin Netanyahu. Like that and this donation is the only like true example that he can give of pro-Palestinian sentiment, because other than that there's nothing solid that he relies on, and most of his rhetoric is against people who are pro-Palestine. It's so fucking stupid. Like, who is he trying to fool? It's very obvious, especially with a lot of his talking points, that he is more pro-Israel than he is pro-Palestine. He just knows that being like, no, I am pro-Israel is not going to work with a lot of his fan base, even though I feel like a lot of the fan base that is still there probably doesn't care. I just feel like maybe there are some stragglers who are just like, I don't agree with him. I just wish they would get back to like, what they were doing earlier, like back to like internet stuff, like not like this, but like, the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni shit, that kind of stuff, that kind of content where it's just like drama that they are not immediately involved in, like Ethan, where it's just people on the outside who have nothing to do with H3, where they can just comment on it and shit like that, instead of stuff that like Ethan and Neil are like personally involved in, that they are obviously on the wrong side of. Like, I can definitely see those people still being there, but I think a lot of people who really care about this issue are probably just gone at this point, and they've been losing subscribers, very much so. Like, here's the H3 Productions channel. Last week they lost 40,000 subscribers. Now they did gain 10k today, I guess, but still they have been progressively day after, well, like especially when that nuke dropped, they lost subscribers. It's not looking good. And this is like from the last, like this total subscribers, this has been going back to like last year, and all the like little spikes in the subscribers is -10, like -10k, then boom, 40k, 10k. Like, they continue to lose subscribers, and this is just like the one where they actually post videos on, where they rarely post videos on. I don't know why that was so hard, but this is their H3 podcast one. This is the one where they post more frequently, and when we look at their subscribers going back to last year, still boom, big drop off. 10k, stays that way for a long time. I believe this is when Ethan was really going, ham on the fuck us on train, was at this time period where they like literally every single week we're losing 10k subscribers, and it just kind of stayed that way. Like with this one, there is no gain. They just continuously lose subscribers. So like this whole, fuck Hassan, fuck any pro-Palestinian content creator, again, kind of weird how it's all pro-Palestinian content creators and most of them are, Muslim. It's not doing well for him. And I don't understand why he doesn't just look at that and be like, hey, maybe this isn't worth it. Like, maybe I need to take a step back. And it's probably because nobody in his team is really pushing back against him. That's the thing, is like, as much as like I want to give the team grace, like his crew, as much as I want to give them grace to be like, okay, they're just doing their job. They're just, trying to get a paycheck at the end of the day. So they're going to bite their tongue and just, try to, hope that this all blows over. At some point, someone's going to need to say something. Someone's going to need to be like, look, this isn't working. Like, just sit down and talk with him. I don't know. Because it doesn't feel like that really happening. Because when it comes to, like, stuff like this, you can kind of tell there's, like, an uneasiness. And right here we have an example. Well, we have two examples right here. We'll start with this one where Ethan Klein calls Denims a bitch. He's really going after her for some reason. It's like, so yeah, this is the clip of Ethan talking about Denims and her react.
Of other fucking rape victims and immediately calls them liars. That's a fucking bitch of a person. If not that, then who?
He also has this thing right here with like some of his reacts, like when he's reacting to Hassan and Denims, where he'll put up this little graphic that says X Destiny Orbiter Denims. And it's just like, what is he trying to do with that? I think he's trying to associate them with Destiny because of, the recent action, the recent heat that's on Destiny. It's kind of funny though that Ethan, out of everyone, is trying to like we all know he's associated with Destiny. We all know he's associated with Destiny. Even if they're not working together, which I kind of doubt. I definitely doubt if they're working together or not. I do think, like, Ethan clearly gets a lot of his, talking points, his screenshots that he shows on his Instagram story. He clearly gets them from Destiny's community because there's literally, like, people have shown side-by-side comparisons of like the screenshots that Ethan will show that are like cropped out so you don't see they're from Destiny's community to like the actual posts from Destiny's community where they're the exact same. It's so stupid. But yeah, he's trying to like associate them with him, but it's like, we know, dude, we know you are pretty close with him now. Why are you trying to hide it?
She is earning the coveted distinction of being a fucking bitch.
Just nothing from the crew.
Congratulations. Enjoy the distinction. I've come here and I have made the distinction. I have decreed, let it be known, that Denims is a dumb fucking bitch.
Congratulations.
So glad that she admires the courage of other women coming forward.
And he...
Oh, hold on. Are they Jewish? Nah, fuck, that bitch is lying.
Like... I don't, like, you can tell AB was, like, trying to speak up to say something. I don't know what he would have said, but it's just, like, you can just tell, like, there's that uneasiness in the room where everyone's just, like, we're just gotta bite our tongues. Like, this is too much. And we know what will happen if they try to fight back, at least, with what's been going on recently, with how Ethan has behaved recently. Because there was a recent example resulting in it had to do with someone coming out as non-binary and stuff like that. So like I don't know the full context of this, but from what I could tell is that they're seeing a post from someone who's coming out as non-binary, and Ethan continuously uses the pronoun he, and then Olivia tries to correct him, being like, the appropriate one is they, shit like that. And this is how Ethan reacts.
You guys are so dumb and pathetic.
Because people in his chat are being like, you should use the right pronouns, and Ethan reacts this way.
Chat. Literally wait till he comes out and says, like, you can call me he. Like, literally wait till he says my pronoun's he.
Yeah, but they haven't yet. So it's polite to try to use a term that's a lot more fitting.
You stupid fucking woke fuck. I'm being
No, it doesn't need to be more than it.
Why are you assuming his pronoun?
Because if someone comes out as non-binary, they're more than likely going to use the pronoun they. That's the correct pronoun to use. It's so fucking stupid. He's just like, oh, well, you guys are getting mad at me using wrong pronoun. Why are you guys assuming the pronoun?
It's not when
you're assuming his pronouns. He hasn't clarified.
She's trying to calmly explain, and he's just yelling at her.
Sorry.
Calm down.
No, it's annoying because people come.
the most
By the way, you people in the chat who are like, oh, Ethan fucking is L being like transphobic. It's like you are presuming his pronouns. And by the way,
It's just like, even though this has nothing to do, obviously, with what's going on with Hassan, this is the same mentality that he keeps with everything. Like, he's flipping out for no reason when people are trying to be like, hey, just use the correct pronoun. And he's just like, what? You're telling me I'm wrong? I can't be wrong. You're wrong. It's just so, he obviously can't take any sort of criticism. So, like, yeah, I'm not surprised when the crew doesn't try to fight back, even with something like this, because it just results in them being fucking yelled at because Ethan just can't accept the fact that he's just not correct in this situation. And you can hear the silence in the crew with this one too. And this one is like, if calling Denham's a bitch was, very cruel, like very uncalled for, this is even more so. If you haven't like seen this already, and if you haven't read the tweet already, Ethan Klein just called Hassan Piker a sex predator who takes advantage of drunk women to have sex with them. What the actual fuck is wrong with this subhuman scum? Fuck Ethan Klein. So we're gonna watch this, and you'll hear how silent the crew are. It is deafening.
bro is straight up in that like Lebowski, Big Lebowski, like sex predator vibe. He looks like someone at a Big Lebowski party, where he...
Jackie Treehorn?
Yeah, he looks like he's at a Jackie Treehorn party. Fucking drunk women.
And here's the thing. You hear that and it's just like, well, he's just making like, a bad faith comparison. It starts like that. And if that's where it ended, that would be like, okay, that's, disgusting and weird. But like, okay, he's not calling him a sex predator. But
Which surprisingly doesn't seem too far off from what he actually does do. Or has done, at least.
yeah, he just was just like, yeah, Hassan Piker is a sex predator. Like he dropped the pretense of being like, oh, this guy looks like someone who would do it in a movie, but it's just straight up like, no, this is what he does. With no proof, no evidence. It's just like, no, this guy's a sex predator, and just moves on. And just in case you're wondering if there's more to that clip, there's not. I literally tried to look just in case, like on the actual stream. There's not. He just moves on. And this is like one where it's just like, he is playing fast and loose, because if Hassan wanted to, he could just like sue his ass. And I don't think he wants to. Like, I don't see Hassan doing that. I think he just wants to move on from this. But it's very clear that Ethan's not. And I feel like if Ethan just doesn't, unless Ethan accepts that like this is gonna go nowhere, this is just gonna get worse. Like his crash out is just gonna get worse. I don't think this is gonna result in anything changing really for like either Hassan or like pro-Palestinian content creators as a whole. It's just very obvious that it's only really gonna get worse for Ethan. So I don't understand why he keeps doing this. Like, again, I used to be a big fan of Ethan's. I really am. And even after, Leftovers, they stopped the podcast. Even though I took a break from his content, at some point I did try to come back because I missed watching the show, and there was like a good episode that they came out with on Aiden Ross, and I was just like, you know what? Maybe I will start watching regularly again. And immediately afterwards is when he joked about Aaron Bushnell, and he had a crash out about that. And I was just like, okay, this is where I'm gonna have to draw the line. I'm gonna have to unsubscribe, and who knows, maybe if he changes in the future, hopefully he does, but we'll just have to see. And I've been proven wrong. I've been proven right. He has changed for the worse, and it's not in a good direction. But we might as well finish this off, and then we'll probably move on.
When he was called out about this on Twitter and on Threads, he decided to come after Stanzi Potenza and go out of his way to say, how much money did you personally donate? That's such a stupid conversation point. So many creators, because I run Creators for Palestine. I see the back end. I see every donation. I can't tell you how many creators donated $10,000 plus $25,000 and more, but didn't make a public statement about it and didn't try and say, hey, look at me. I'm a good guy. I did something that's the most basic human necessity. Hey, I'm a millionaire, so I decided to give some of my money. And unlike Ethan, didn't make it a shield to say, hey, I don't have these horrible political beliefs. No, because I donated $6,500 to Palestine. Therefore, I made a difference.
It is weird that he's just like, oh, Creators for Palestine didn't make a difference, but then tries to bring up his donation to say that he made a difference. But we're just going to kind of talk about these points right here. We have this clip where Ethan is desperately trying to not associate himself with Destiny.
It was a farce, according to Hassan. When he came in here for the first show, he immediately said to me and everybody, you guys can say you don't remember it or say nothing. He says, avoid Destiny. He's the worst person alive. Don't talk about Destiny. Don't think about Destiny. Destiny's the monster. He gave like a whole like prepared 5-minute speech about how ignore Destiny and like just poisoning the well. Be like, Destiny's the worst person in the world. Don't talk about him. Don't give him any attention. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? It kind of threw me off guard because I was like, I don't think about Destiny ever. But now I'm kind of curious.
I like how he's trying to blame Hassan for being like, well, you're the one who drew me to Destiny because you wouldn't shut up about him. Feels very, overblown. Like, I could definitely see Hassan being like, hey, you, just in case, like, since you're getting into like this politics stuff, you might want to stay away from this guy because he is a weirdo and a fucking creep that you shouldn't get involved with. I think he's desperately just trying to be like, no, even then, does he think this makes Hassan necessarily look bad? Because, like, yeah, Destiny is a guy you should stay away from. Like, and that's the thing, is that he covers it later in this clip where he's just like, oh, well, we covered that Destiny was a creep. But it's just like, are you trying to say that, like, Destiny has good points, but he's a creep? But, like, what are you trying to say?
If Destiny was my roommate, I'd get him laid all.
You know, Ethan literally covered the SA scandal. I mean, like, immediately. Yeah.
Like, literally just there. He's just like, just a second ago.
Like, I don't think about Destiny ever, but now I'm kind of curious. I mean,
where he's like, I'm kind of curious what Destiny has to say, but also we, talked about, the revenge porn situation. So, like, Destiny has some good points, but we're also very critical of him. But it's just like, what? It just seems like he's trying to cover his tracks. And it's just like, again, like this comment right here. He covered it. Therefore, it's fine to slob all over a sex criminal's knob. Like, it just seems like he's trying to come up with the excuse of being like, well, we did cover, his controversy, so that means it's okay that we use his talking points and a post from his community.
Like, immediate. Yeah. Covered it.
So many people covered it. You're not special. You're not special in that. You're not like the breaking story. Barely anybody. Also, I saw their segment covering it. It was not that long. There have been way more people who went in depth on like what exactly happened. And it was in a stream that featured like several segments of shitting on pro-Palestinian content creators. They did not focus on that hard. It really just felt like Ethan was just desperately covering it to save his own ass because people were associating with him. And that's another thing too, is that like he knows who Destiny is, but he also like there's several clips of him just trying to be like, I don't know Destiny. It's like, do you know about him or do you not? And this is another thing. We're probably not gonna watch this, but I mean, we might as well play
More first-hand encounters. There's even a person that survived the Nova disaster. They managed to survive it. And then I think maybe a year later or a few months later, they ended up committed suicide because they couldn't bear to live having seen what they saw on that day.
Is there more than one person that committed suicide?
It might be more. For some reason, I don't know the exact number. I know there's for sure one that I know for sure, but there might be more. And I mean, the kind of stuff that they saw was like rape, gang rape.
Mutilation, torture.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so I'll just read the post out. Here is Ethan Klein today claiming that a Nova Festival survivor who saw rape and gang rape killed themselves because they couldn't deal with the trauma. She cites this as a part of her regurgitation of the genocidal atrocity propaganda rape hoax, saying there's just so much evidence for it. She is referring to a suicide letter that was posted online claiming this over 6 months ago, which was debunked as a hoax by Israeli reporters a day after it came out. Even Hens Mazik and other genocidal Zionist propagandists who shared it were forced to retract it. But Ethan Klein is now citing it to an audience of millions as main evidence for the rape hoax. This scum have no shame. And this person, I've seen a lot of their posts following this, is backing up their claim that this was very much a hoax. And here's the thing, it's not a hoax that a October 7th survivor did commit suicide. We have it right here. This is a story that was shared a lot. The hoax is that the person committed suicide because she saw gang rape. Because there's no because when it comes to October 7th, there is no verifiable proof that gang rape happened, but Israeli propaganda constantly runs with that. I mean, we literally saw Benjamin Netanyahu say that in front of Congress like months ago to like an audience of, a ton of people watching. And, American politicians have said it, the presidents well, the president, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris have shared that propaganda. And here's the thing. She did commit suicide. She did survive October 7th. There is nothing to support that she saw gang rape. That's the thing. That's the hoax. It's not that, the hoax isn't that she committed suicide. The hoax is that she saw gang rape and that's why she killed herself. That's it. It was a hoax used to essentially just back up Israeli propaganda that had no proof to it. And it's absolutely disgusting that Hila is using that here, despite the fact that there's multiple evidence to show that that didn't happen. That claim that she saw gang rape did not happen, of course. And here's the thing. Obviously, it's terrible that this woman committed suicide. There's no if and or buts for that. However, stating that she saw something that there is no claim that she saw that was not even mentioned in her suicide letter is completely insane. And here's the post right here. We might as well read it out. A survivor of Hamas's October 7th, 2023 Nova Festival massacre, I don't know how to pronounce her name, took her own life on Sunday, her 22nd birthday. She was found lifeless in the yard of her home in central Israel. The exact cause of death was not made public. She was said to have visited the West Hall in Jerusalem and the Cave of Patriarchs in Hebron with her family. According to family members, despite suffering from post-trauma, the state failed to provide the woman with mental health services. She said she received no assistance from the state. She said that she only had assistance from the Tribe of Nova Foundation, her brother told Israel Hayom. The state of Israel murdered my sister twice, once in October mentally, and a second time today on her 22nd birthday physically, said the brother. So it's just like nowhere in this article does it even mention the gang rape. And it was very obvious that the suicide, even though it was very much induced by the trauma of seeing October 7th, it also came down to the state not providing her with good assistance. That's not saying like, oh, like October 7th had nothing to do with that. Obviously it did. But to say that, to spread a hoax about gang rape on October 7th and try to equate that to this woman's suicide is absolutely disgusting. And despite evidence that that's not the case, she just spreads it on her podcast with no remorse. Just absolutely disgusting. But I think that's where we're just gonna leave it off. Like this whole thing with Ethan and Hila it's not gonna get any better, unfortunately. I would like this to get better. I would like for this to just kind of like, be done with. And this is gonna be the last time, hopefully, I talk about this. We'll see. The only way that I will talk about this solution again, like this situation again, is if, Hassan and Ethan do a debate or something like that. That's the only way that I'm probably going to make another video about this. But for now, I'm just going to leave it here. I'm just kind of done. I'm tired. I'm just kind of burnt out with this whole drama, whatever. It's nothing. And, Ethan just needs to move on.